I wanted to welcome everybody to a public hearing concerning a proposed agreement with the Town of Webb Fire District Number 1. The proposed agreement would allow the fire district to provide fire protection and emergency response services where firefighters would be required to the Stillwater Fire Protection District. This agreement is already in place, and we are making it a 5-year contract. I call the public hearing to order. Will the clerk please read the notice of the public hearing?
Notice is hereby given that the town board will hold a public hearing on January 9th, 2024, beginning at 7 p.m. at the Town of Webb Visitors Center, 3140 State Route 28, Old Forge, New York, concerning a proposed agreement with the Town of Webb Fire District Number 1. The proposed agreement would allow the fire district to provide fire protection and emergency response services where firefighters would be required to the Stillwater Fire Protection. Copies of the proposed agreement are on file with the town clerk at 3140 State Route 28 and may be reviewed during normal business hours. Please take further notice that all interested parties will be heard at this time. Nancy T. Russell, town clerk.
The purpose of this hearing is to hear public comments on the proposed agreement that would allow the fire district to provide fire protection and emergency response services where firefighters would be required to the Stillwater Fire Protection District. All comments shall be directed to the town board and be relevant to the topic and will become part of the record. When called upon, please state your name for the record and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Do I have anyone who'd like to speak? Perfect. Having heard all comments from those wishing to speak on the topic, would someone like to make a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now I'd like to welcome you all to the Town of Webb January regular meeting. I call the meeting to order and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for coming. Please sign in the attendance sheet and turn off your cell phones, please. Next regular meeting will be on February 13th at 7 p.m. February audit of claims meeting will be held on the first Monday, February 5th at 5:30 p.m. Executive session may occur this evening if deemed necessary. Did you have some correspondence?
Well, we can do this now. So we heard from the town of Inlet. They would like to use the band shell for their fall festival, which is 9/21 and 9/22. And they also would like to use the band shell on Saturday, 9/14 for 1 square mile of hope. That's in the planning stages, but they want to also do that. And they also want to use the band shell May 27th. It's Hamilton County's Memorial Day Parade, which takes place in Inlet this year. They use it every year, they insure us, and they take it back and forth.
Okay.
So it's really just, are you guys okay with it?
Absolutely.
Everyone's good?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
Perfect. We have an agreement with the Town of Webb Fire District Number 1 to provide fire protection and emergency response services where firefighters would be required to the Stillwater Fire Protection District. The board held a public hearing early this evening. What is the pleasure of the board? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Do we have any board discussion?
This is just going from 3 years to 5 years, right? There's nothing else changed in it?
Yes, there's a increase in the payment, the yearly payment. It went from $5,500 to $7,480. And then from 3 to 5 years. Would you like to do a roll call vote, please?
Oh, God, forgot about that. Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Hanna?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye. We have an agreement with IAM Old Forge, 3183 State Route 28. I need a motion that the Town of Webb Board authorizes the supervisor to sign a trail use agreement with IAM Old Forge LLC. This agreement is a successor agreement based upon a change of property ownership during the 2024 winter season. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Board discussion?
Yes, I have a couple things to discuss on that. Is that just, do we do that each year?
No.
So
No, it's the reason we're doing it right now. We have that agreement every year. The reason it's up on this right now is because it's a new owner.
Yeah, we don't renew it every year. It's ongoing.
Does this mean that we don't have to in the future? Or?
Well, yes, we will be discussing in the future, future negotiations with them.
Chain forest. Probably.
Yeah.
That's the property over the chain forest that we use.
Any other discussion? Would you like to do a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye.
Bye-bye.
We have a vehicle bid. We have a motion that the Town of Webb will be accepting bids for 2 new small to mid-size type vehicles with 4-wheel or all-wheel drive, 4-door, and automatic transmission. All bids due to the town clerk on or before February 13th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Town of Webb's clerk's office, 3140 State Route 28, Old Forge, New York, 13420. The bid is for the vehicle for the Codes Department and the Assessor's Office. Bid specs are on file with the town clerk. The Town of Webb reserves the right to reject any and all proposals. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Board discussion.
Going back to when we budgeted for that, is any of those vehicles, are the old vehicles still staying with them, or what are we doing with those?
The Codes Office doesn't have a vehicle to replace.
Ours is gonna be traded in. They're gonna buy it.
Codes doesn't have it.
And Codes doesn't have it.
Right, this is a
okay.
third for them.
The assessor's upgrading.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
thank you.
Should you do a roll call vote?
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye. Engineering for Macaulay Mountain Deck. A motion to enter into agreement with Zangrilli Engineering PC for structural engineering services for the proposed new deck at the Macaulay Mountain Chalet for a lump sum fee of $10,500. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Board discussion.
Guys, want to talk about that one?
This is just basically the redo from the last engineering thing that we did on the deck, right?
It's more complete.
It's a
It's
redo.
more complete. It's a redo, more complete.
More
It's a
complete.
complete redo, more complete.
Demolition removal.
Nothing else is being considered. We're starting from scratch.
What we should have done first. Knew that the deck was a problem. We tried to move things along. Probably should have. My opinion, but
A factor in all that, right? We're trying to rush into it and get it done. Was it last meeting in December, November? We kind of accepted that it wasn't gonna be here for the winter. It
Right.
wasn't gonna be done before the winter, so we're just kind of reevaluated it.
alright. So this is the right way to go.
Correct.
My opinion.
Would you like to do a roll call vote, please, Nancy?
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye. That was an easy agenda. All right, I'm going to start. I just have a couple things that we need to talk about. I'd like to talk about the Trail 5 corridor. Trail 5 is mostly zoned OS, open space, requiring 43 acres to build on. Some of the taxpayers feel these significant zoning requirements are being ignored, specifically in 2 instances where land is cleared and driveways are being cut in without proper permits in place. They feel these property owners are asking for forgiveness after the fact. That's true. They would like the town to put a 1-year moratorium on all building and driveway cuts on the Trail 5 corridor until we figure this out. After talking to the lawyer, he does not advise us to do this. We already have zoning and code laws on the books, and he suggests that we enforce them. If we feel they need to be changed, he would advise us to start that process, but he strongly advises against this moratorium. So, what's the pleasure of the board?
Well, he's not wrong by saying we have codes written. And why are these people doing what they're doing if that's the case? And how do we stop it? I guess I've asked that question many times. Our codes department can go and tell them they can't do it, but they keep going, and they don't have any way to stop it, as far as I see. So how do we fix it?
Well, we did issue a notice to one of them that said if he was caught on Trail 5, he'd be ticketed for trespassing. So we are doing something, but it just seems like it's out of control. These taxpayers are really angry, and they aren't letting up. And there's not just one, there's many.
Agreed. Totally agree.
So, I don't know where else to, I don't know how to proceed, is what I'm saying. I've called the attorney, and like I said, he doesn't feel we should proceed that way. So how do we proceed? That would be
great if you could stop it for at least a year, but to me, putting a moratorium on it, they still do it. So I don't even know the steps. Did the lawyer say what we can do to stop it?
Follow your zoning laws. Enforce your zoning laws.
Enforce your zoning laws.
He said enforce them.
And we
Don't
are.
do this.
As far as
You
I
need to
know, we
enforce
are.
them. Completely enforce them.
More strict.
Stricter enforcement, I would say, is probably.
Put more of a focus on it.
Yep.
All right. The lawyer's saying no against the moratorium. I would listen.
Yeah, I hesitate to go against. You know, he said he'd do whatever we wanted to do, but I mean, we have him for a reason.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that statement.
Now let's talk about motorized vehicles on the Toby Trail, because they want that stopped too.
What part of Toby Trail?
There are motorized vehicles on the Toby Trail. 100% are. There are golf carts. There are UTVs. There are e-bikes. I don't even know what else, but I watch them go right by here, right on the trail. So I don't know. He wants
Who is they?
There's some taxpayers that have been complaining. The same people that are talking about Trail 5 corridor, and it's mostly the taxpayers on that strip right there.
Stopping it on the Trail 5, what I'm assuming I use, say, Trail 5 from Rondax to Eagle Bay. I don't know where you would go with that. Because I think probably you could legally drive your car down there. I don't know why you can, but maybe I don't.
I mean, that falls under the police, right, to enforce that?
Well, it's
That's the-
registered vehicles only. If they're unregistered, then the police needs.
I think she's referring to the fact that.
Well, is it a bike
no
trail?
motor
Is it a
vehicles.
hiking trail? Or is it a motorized
Yeah,
vehicle
right.
trail? I mean,
We have the
What
signs
is
right
it?
there that say no motor vehicles
Well,
on the Toby Trail, right?
Part of Rondak's Road is Toby Trail. That's a road.
Snowmobile trails are Toby trails.
It
So
it
we're
has
ju-
to be separated somehow, like this in town versus, I don't know.
Okay,
That's
well,
a big
that-
question.
this is a big thing we need to start looking into then, because I can tell you right now, I have tried and tried with this group of taxpayers to. Have I not, Nance?
Yes, that's correct.
They'll be here next month,
That's fine.
so we need to, you know.
Are they more concerned over the usage of motorized vehicles within the town on the Toby Trail, or the Toby Trail in general?
Right.
I took it as in general.
In general, they're out walking, and there's motorized vehicles on the Trail 5 corridor. And should they be on this right here?
I mean, last month or the month before at one of the meetings, I think I know the guy that you're talking about had said that snowmobile's obviously on Trail 5, but I mean, as far as policing it on Trail 5, from my understanding, like Mike said, if it's registered motorized, it's technically a road up to a certain point on Trail 5.
Yeah, I don't know the exact law
If
for
it's-
that.
They're ready to look into it by season.
If it's in town that they're more concerned about, that's,
You know?
I get that, but moving
Right.
forward, that's more of a, maybe ask Ron if you see it, do something about it. It's already posted on the trail within town, no motorized vehicles.
All right. Brian's got his hand up over here.
Go ahead.
Are e-bikes considered motorized?
They have not been addressed by anyone.
Well, I think in New York State, if it's under 20 miles an hour, it's not considered a motorized vehicle.
It changes
Yeah.
every.
It's whether they're driven by a throttle or they're pedal
You're right.
assist.
Mark's right.
If they have a throttle and they go over like 20 miles an hour, then they're motorized. If you have to pedal it and it just helps you, then they're not.
Right.
In most places.
And it just keeps
And
changing.
it's
Exactly.
that's-
It just keeps changing.
If you've actually
Yeah,
got a
it
throttle
shouldn't
where you
be.
can
It should
sit
be all
there,
the same thing.
Yeah,
then they're motorized. Clear to 20.
yeah, but you get out there, you got to pedal back. Your battery was dead. Right?
Well, but it doesn't matter. If you've got a throttle, then they're designated. as a-
You're right.
Is there,
Maybe
is
the
there,
law should be investigated.
different classes.
Yeah.
is there a way to get a
Most places.
overhead map or something of where it's occurring the most, or something where these concerns are from these taxpayers, and not just kind of attacking the whole Toby Trail itself? No.
Well,
Yeah.
This stemmed from, I believe, stemmed from Trail 5.
Absolutely stem from Trail 5.
They want nothing up there but snowmobiles in the winter.
And I've said something about it out here just because I've seen, people walking and somebody go by on their e-bike going, I don't know, it looked like more than 20 miles an hour to me. But yeah, so anyway, I guess we just need to think about
The
it.
Toby Trail.
If anybody
was
comes up with any
designed to be a
ideas.
Bike trail, right?
What?
The Toby Trail, when it was initially.
A biking and walking trail.
trail.
And we used the snowmobile trail to get into Eagle Bay. So Eagle Bay could get to inlet, so we could all be
Right.
one.
But the Toby Trail is confusing.
Sure
I
it
mean, look
is.
at the Toby Trail, you go down in front of our
joins up.
warehouse. There's a sidewalk there, snowmobiles use it, people walk in the road, it's confusing. It's all confusing.
It is.
One side to the other, it's a mess. You go by the sewer plant,
Well, agreed.
yeah, it's a highway,
Maybe just a
It's a scenic corridor.
smell is wonderful.
So we had,
general enforcement to keep an eye on for these motorized vehicles that are on the Toby Trail in any spot, with the exception of snowmobiles during what's occurring right now.
I'm telling you, I just need to be able to get out a ticket, Tom.
Yeah.
Recreation Director Hannah Wheaton has jumped into her position and seems to be getting it under control very quickly. Very happy to have her on board. Hannah had a meeting with Kyle Brown today and about the batting, or had a meeting with Kyle Brown about the batting net that we were all talking about. And you guys wanted more information about whether it could be taken down during events. It can be completely removed by a carabiner. The only thing that would be hanging would be the wiring. She said it would not be in the way at all. She would like to give the school permission to buy that net.
And I saw her email too with all that information there was shared with us.
Yep.
Where it's not those pipes that were hanging like we talked about last month that
Right.
went away. So one wire is already existing. There's just two more that would not be in the way, and then the netting would just be able to push all the way over. I mean, I'm for it. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yep.
And is that something that the school, when an event is coming up for the weekend,
Yep.
the school takes that stuff
Kyle
down?
said he would come over and take it down if it was an issue. He would definitely come over and do that.
Okay.
It's, they don't want it put away wrong anyway, so.
Correct.
Similar to the one in the Park Ave gym, that's there?
This is going to be really small netting.
Yeah, they have that netting they put up to stop the baseballs from hitting the doors because it would scare the life out of us sitting
Yeah.
at our desk when they hit
This
the
is
ball.
more of like you're in this whole netting. It's like,
Oh.
I don't know, 10 feet wide. And you're in this spot, and won't be able to hit anywhere.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, golf balls, baseballs, all that stuff will
Nice.
just be included into this netting, and it just slides over in and out.
So do I have a nod? Okay, perfect. Macaulay Mountain's new office manager, Kristen Johnson, has jumped into her new position and seems to be learning the process of how it works up there. She's been doing very well too, updating Facebook page daily. She's really getting into it.
Yeah.
Has her boots on out there, learning everything. We are now in the process. Kurt and I believe Brian met with the snowmaking people for the guns, and they're in the process of starting paperwork for grants for the snowmaking. So that's encouraging. Thank you, Brian, for all, and you and Kurt and your wife for all of your volunteer work. Can't thank you enough. We couldn't get this done without you guys.
And we're doing that all for volunteer workers. No
I know, and that's why I
exchange of,
mentioned that
funds there at all.
because people in town think you're getting paid,
Yeah,
and I just
absolutely
wanted to mention that no,
no.
and neither is Kurt Gardner.
If they do, I'll walk.
No one's getting paid. So I just wanted to mention
Thank you.
that because there is rumors. Thank you. Mike?
Okay, I can go first time. So, I did want to mention, we had a meeting about the sewer plant updates, and that went very well. It's going to be on schedule as far as we know. Everything as far as our mandatory thing is going to be scheduled, and the headworks is probably not going to be right away, but I think they said, Kyle, by July, Tommy, by July, they said they think the headworks will be done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
July the latest.
July.
Yep.
So that's going very well. Also in that, I had asked Corey to hang out for a couple minutes and explain a couple things to Kyle, which is new, and Tommy, who caught up a little bit on, also with us, about our collection system, trying to get money for that. He would like us to, his suggestion was to hire a consultant to do an income study for the water and sewer district, period. Which we had talked about. This isn't a new thing, but we need, eventually I'd like to see the board push that along ASAP, get some quotes on how much that would cost and get that moving so that we can get some grants for that, because I do think he suggested that the sewer is a little tougher to get money, but water definitely we could probably get some money for, so that would be wonderful. So what do you guys, can we talk about that sooner than later? I would like to do that.
There's a couple companies that we've already looked into. It's going to cost probably $10,000 to $20,000.
Right. But that would get us, the reason why I bring that up is because our income study, when you go at townwide, puts us over the number that we can get money from grants. It just, we make too much money with a townwide. So we kind of got to go just for our water and sewer district.
Right.
We're hoping that number will.
But then he'd also said too, within that demographic of the income study, it can be broken into different subsections as well, not just the water users, just the sewer users, the potential for sewer users down the road in a different district. So the companies that they're talking about can broaden it, do one big one, and then reclassify every district so that way it targets the money that we're going for in the grants.
Right. So
What they're referring to is it's actually $93,000. That's our
Yeah,
median
townwide
income
median
for
income.
townwide. So if we were to just focus, if you have the townwide one and they do just the sewer district, it's going to help us qualify for way more grants because it's going to be a different number than including the lake houses and stuff like that. That would really hurt our ability to get grants for our sewer. To go off of that.
And I also wanted to mention Kurt Gardner and Brian Bamberger and that group. Brian's wife, I'm sure Kurt's wife got involved, but anyways, this McCully Mountain thing is very large and it takes a lot of work. And these guys are really helping out a lot because as council people, it's very difficult for us just to take on one project, and these guys are going to get us hopefully to the point of us making decisions and moving forward with this, because it is very needed on McCully. So I appreciate you guys and thank you for that. And as far as any kind, they just come back to the board with any kind of decisions that they thoughts and process, and then we deal with it. So anyways, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And that should do it for me.
Tom?
Just to go off more of that, the wastewater treatment plant, that UV equipment, we were going to have it in time so we can meet that DEC deadline of May 1st. To get that all situated. And then I wanted to talk about that quote we had from Scott that he budgeted for with the well house down at North Street. It's just a really old pressure valve sleeve is how he worded it. That needs to be replaced because the current one is worn out, and actually over the holiday weekend they were down there dealing with the malfunction of it, and they actually kept it going. But it's a huge issue. He's been talking about it for a while now. I think these gentlemen have talked to him. I think we're all on the same page, and he's given us a quote, and I wanted to make sure we knew it wasn't the $23,000 he was looking for. And he got $22,000 in his budget, but it's the $12,865 for that, complete install parts. The one we have in there now is so old and worn out that we can't even get parts for it anymore, and it's just kind of like, and if this goes, we don't have water. It's like that. It's that simple. I was down there with those guys before Christmas. I think it was the Friday before. Just went and checked out that area of it, and they showed me the whole inside, and that this thing goes, we don't have water. So.
And this part's 6 months out.
Right.
You order it today, it's 6 months out.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can, address that at some point or whatnot. And he's also shopped. I mean, this is it too for where to go when it comes to looking around for other quotes and whatnot. This is the only company really doing it. This W2O equipment.
That's right too. He did do a lot of homework on trying to find somebody to replace what he needs, and there's not.
There were 2 companies and one of them closed down.
Right.
And the other one wouldn't come.
Doesn't want to come here.
Right.
So he's also being smart about it and doing it piece by piece. This is just the most crucial one to work on to get done. So it's not all one big hit in 1 year. But anyway, just to keep in mind.
I think we should make a motion
Yeah.
to approve that.
To approve the purchase.
Approve the purchase of that $12,865 sleeve for the
Why wait?
water.
So I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thanks, Bonnie. And then DPW they're still down an employee too with those. I don't know if we have to advertise or if you guys are already looking into that, but they just mentioned that
Yep.
with us where we're heading.
Is that in the? We're doing two, right? 2 employees.
Okay. That income survey, yeah, we all talked about that. That was a great meeting with them. It was fine. It was nice to hear them say we need this to move forward. So it sounds like it's been a couple of years now. So getting that done is going to be huge for us. The other thing in talking with Dan Kiefer, he's looking for us to finish up the odometer readings and the vehicle specifications for this $50,000 grant. I guess most of our departments have done it. The other 2 are still working on it. So,
Yeah, I think it's on I heard Casey mention it today, so he's working on
Casey
his.
said he's working on it, and Stevie U is. Dan said today he was waiting for him to get his vehicles to that. So if somebody wants to chat with him about getting that done. It's not specific to any department either. We just get $50,000 to be used wherever needed. When it comes to it's like a competence, like reward, I guess, for us kind of staying up and just doing those things. And a lot of that's been Living 80K and Dan Kiefer just staying on top of it. He's an incredible resource for monies. And then they also, another part of that was they want to do a free energy audit at the rec center down there, which is $3,000. They want to just do it for free and just kind of overlook it and see, hey, what can we do to upgrade? What can we do to be better down there? It doesn't mean that money would go towards that or we would do anything. They would just kind of tell us. We did that with all buildings last year and got some upgrades with Park Ave, and there's still more to do. And then thanks to Nancy for getting all the information that we needed for all of these things that are going on, because that's how we get this stuff done. And then a big thank you to the Community Foundation. There's eight different organizations around here in the month of December that the Community Foundation gave us $150,000 worth of grants, all sorts of different areas. And just wanted to say thank you to them. Again, thanks to Living 80K for getting all that stuff together. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hannah?
Well, just trying to learn the ropes right now and figure stuff out and get in touch with all the department heads.
Awesome.
Had a good conversation with Scott Gaffney today, and looking forward to learning a lot more and getting the ball rolling on improving the town.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Mr. Lindsay?
Alright. So I as well don't have a lot. Get my feet wet. I have met with the school. I have met with Acting Superintendent Jennifer Dunn and the Vice President of the Board, Holly Armandola. It was just an informal meet and greet, see where things were left off with Barb and where I'm going to pick up and what they're doing over there. We talked briefly about the passing of the school budget and their timeline for that project. Jen had mentioned everything for that project is on their website. I went and looked at it. Everything's laid out in full detail. They also are using a new entry system. Facial recognition now goes right to the secretary. That was pretty cool. I went up not knowing, so I pulled on the handle. It's locked. I'm like, what's going on here? I see this big old box on the side, so I ended up pushing it. Saw it. It was pretty cool. But yeah, just an informal meeting with that. I have talked with Mike and Tommy as well. We had a couple of conversations, so I'm hoping that in the coming time I'll have more to offer than just this little spiel. And I know Ben and I have our training next week down in Albany, so that should be fun. Learn a bunch of new things. Get the paper ready.
Awesome.
You guys. Just real quick, that key fob stuff there down at the rec center, I want to let them know. I did get an email from Tom and Taz. He had COVID last week, so he's still trying to get up here and to do that training, which he can just do with Hannah now, which is perfect, him and whoever else.
Perfect.
Nancy for that whole part.
Perfect, thank you.
Bonnie, I have one more thing I wanted
Yep.
to ask. Actually, Nancy, you might be able to answer this. When we did the budget, and if we wanted to go forward with this consultant for an income study, do we have any budgetary item that would fit that if we wanted to hire somebody sooner than later?
It has to come out of the sewer.
That's from a sewer,
It does have to, that's right.
And
sewer, water, and personally, no, but that's
I know,
right.
I know sewer doesn't.
sewer and water.
But it
It's
also,
not in the budget.
it also opens the door
Right.
for
Yeah,
something
you have
that
to be,
needs to be
you have to
done.
be creative. If you want it
But
done.
that's another
With
one
water,
we could do.
with water at all? We went towards the water maybe?
Possibly. Better
We just
chance,
don't know
better
legally.
chance with water than sewer.
Right, and I don't know if legally if water can pick that whole bill up or not, or
They
if
have
we have
to
to
share
split
the
it.
bill.
Okay, yep. Right.
So I'd have to ask
That's
that.
why I'm asking.
Yeah,
They could share the bill, you stand a better chance.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Nancy, do you have anything?
Can I ask one more question?
Oh, yeah, yep.
When we talk about the building, the North Street building,
Yep.
and we start talking about this equipment that's going in there, does the school own that if that comes from a grant or all those things, or does the town own it, or how does this work? Because I think the topic came up today, and of course that brings up questions on insurances and all that stuff. Because we cover insurance if anything happens in that building, something gets broken or whatever, insurance covers it.
If you're referring to like the water fountain thing.
Yeah, that brought
And the
that.
nets.
That's an install. That was just something that we were looking into when we were talking about. And then recreation connections, which I don't know if anybody's familiar with that yet. That's what Holly Armadillo is kind of heading here. That's a new 501c3 that's getting a lot of grants for us and providing a lot of money around town. They kind of heard that we were trying to find a water fountain through me, through whoever, and they just went and bought one, and it's the same one as that one right there over there. And they were just going to, they said they would take care of everything, install whatever, so it's just up to us. That's different than like, per se, the equipment stuff, you know? Yeah, I mean,
So
those
is that-
basketball hoops that are in there that are from the Wattis Foundation, those belong to the town. That was in a written thing that those are town property.
Those are ours.
Town.
Yes.
Right.
But the net we're putting up,
The net we're putting up from the school, that's a great question. I don't
have an
know
answer.
who, I would imagine,
We're not paying for that, so the school's paying for that, so that's school property,
and they said we could use it.
and they said we could use it.
and it's they did say that.
Right.
And it will be pretty neat for us to use for some people that are missing golf or something like that during the
School
season.
owns
We
it,
could,
never. School owns it in our building.
So it just brings up a couple of questions, like if that got screwed up by one of the Snowdio and all of a sudden the net got screwed up, is that on our insurance?
Well,
or what happens?
what we went through as we started to open this up to more activity is that whole carry in, carry out policy, right? So it's the same thing as, you know, what you bring in, you bring out. So anything that we want everybody to bring in what they can. If they can't, something like this, then yes, they have to accept the risk that something may happen to it. And if that's the case, that's why we have cameras in there now too. You know, those cameras are up. He's supposed to come take care of that too. Tom from Taz, we have really, really great cameras that he upgraded us on his own cost. So I don't think it's our responsibility to do an investigation on how these things broke
Okay.
or whatever.
So I guess I have one thing to say about the water fountain. When we're accepting a grant for a water fountain, it needs to go in front of this board before it's the department heads in my office going, hey, I got a water fountain out here. What am I supposed to do with it? Where do I get the $100 to install it? So the next time that there's a grant for a water fountain, maybe we could go through the board to accept it before it's in the truck in my office. Just follow the steps. I'm not saying it's not a great idea. It's a great idea, but
We had talked about it. I talked to a
we had never spoken about a grant, getting a grant for a water fountain for there. I gave you a price, and you told me you had prices that were higher. That's as far as that conversation went. We didn't have a grant conversation about a water fountain. That came to me today from Alex.
We had talked about installing a water fountain during.
We did, but we did not talk about accepting a grant from the school to put a water fountain into our building.
It's not from the school, so the grant's not from the school.
Okay, from what foundation?
Recreation.
It doesn't matter, the foundation. Mike, am I wrong? Does it need to go through the board
I'm
to
assuming
accept
that
a
would
water
be-
fountain?
The answer for that, I'm assuming, would be yes, because we are accepting it. Now we would be the owner of it.
Okay.
So
I just want to follow
I'm
the
under
steps,
assumption
that's
of
all.
that
I'm
so
not,
we would say yes, because
We have a resolution on file to accept it, to accept
that's all you
the
do.
gift or the
It's just
grant
a
or the
legality.
purchase.
We did talk about paying for the water fountain with our own money. We need it down there. So the kids were filling up their water bottles out of the bathroom.
we talked
sinks.
about it. We did not
So
make a decision.
basically, the money
The
was
board
found
did
for
not
it,
make a
became
decision.
donation, and
So the next
That's
time
all.
it happens, it
needed to
needs
do
to
that.
go
It's
through
like,
our
okay,
office.
we
Thank
have
you.
somebody to pay for it. You guys, like, you know what I mean? That's
Sure.
So it's pretty simple.
Perfect. Anybody else? Yeah, you did, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought you did that.
Get some water down there, that's good.
Go ahead.
So CAA wants to be sure that they can have Winter Carnival, which we talked about, and Labor Day celebration fireworks on September 1st. So they're really verifying Labor Day. 9/1. You know, they have the insurance and all that fun stuff. And then a while back, somebody asked, I think it was Tina, asked about recycling pellet bags. The Waste Authority, Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste Authority, does not recycle them, so they are just straight garbage. That's all I have.
May I ask why they don't, or is that a question for the
Something
Herkimer?
about drying them, cleaning them. They don't have the facilities.
Right.
So they said if you want to dry and clean, you want to take them to your local grocery store, and they want to take them, they will. But they have to be washed and dried, and they don't do that. They meant nothing to me.
Right, yeah.
I put my
Oneida County takes them,
Yeah.
and that's where I take them now, because
Oh,
Dad
yeah?
lives there, so I take them down there.
So you have to dry and clean them of debris. They can bring them to your local grocery store with other plastic film for recycling. If you can't do that, please dispose of in your regular garbage. And this is from the Director of Recycling down in Herkimer, or Herkimer Oneida Solid Waste. That's all I have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Public. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Linda Wheel. And just two quick things. One, I remember some discussion about the water fountain at the last meeting. But two, more importantly, is the income study for the sewer and water district. It's been talked about for several years, and several people have told you it's important and told us. Don Hall being one of them, and then Corey Reed being one of them. I believe Don Hall found a firm that would do the study for free. And so maybe people who sat on the board search your email for that firm, because I know that that exists.
Yes, and we did reach out to that firm, and they didn't have time to do it. Was that
Yeah,
the
that
correct
was-
answer for that?
Yeah, there was something with that firm that
They
we
didn't
do it.
have
I don't
time
remember.
to do it.
Snafu there about
So that free option went out the door. And yes, you are right. We have been talking about this for...
way too long, to be honest.
Several years, yeah.
Yep.
It's-
Anyone else? Yes.
I just wanted to say I've been skiing at Macaulay, and the snow guns are right in the middle of the going down the hill, and they're not very well marked. I didn't know if there's any way we can get some orange something around them. I just think, you know, none of us here locally would be litigious. However, somebody from outside of our neighborhood might if they ran into one.
Okay.
It's just a safety issue.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
mean, they should have pads around them,
They should
not
have
just
pads.
marked.
Yeah, they should be padded.
Or when they're done making snow, they should be removed.
Got it.
Yep. I'm still right with her. Anyone else?
Well, speaking of water and safety issues,
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this to, I think I mentioned it to you about the signs at the Eagle Bay Rest Area Information Center. They have signs in the restroom that say not potable water. Not everybody knows what that means, so maybe they should say do not drink the water in addition to not potable, because I can see people filling up their water bottles not knowing that it's not drinkable. Just a little thing I thought of when I was in there.
Thank you. Yes, anyone else? Okay. Where am I here?
Last page.
Do I have a motion to pay the audit of claims?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make the motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? He hesitated. I didn't know if they were going to do that.
Still want to
We
go
gotta
out.
get
I don't want to go outside.